Have you been boring yourself with uninteresting podcasts made by monotone and overly serious people? Are you tired of hearing the same stuff every day on NPR? Then please consider helping us on our mission of making Thrive Loud the #1 business podcast. Because, well, let's be honest, we're #1.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have an expert in the area of speaker-author support. She amplifies the visibility of authors, speakers, messengers while they do what they love, which is to speak. She's a best-selling author, entrepreneur, and picked back up the love of helping others connect, specifically these thought leaders, at the age of 60, which is why this is going to be a fun episode with somebody who thrives each and every day. Thrive Loud listeners, Lorianne Speaks. Lorianne, how are you today?
I'm good, Lou. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I had the pleasure of meeting Lorianne in her lovely home state of California back in September of 2019. And I will tell you, this is one driven individual. She knows her stuff. She's got a great message, but maybe more cool around that is she's got a good heart and she's an awesome person, which is why we're going to have a fun conversation today. So Lorianne, let's do a little status check. Let's talk about what you're doing right now. What's hot? What's been on your plate, your busyness. Our listeners love to hear what's going on right now. And from there, we'll drive the conversation.
You got it. Well, I'm having a blast, to be very honest with you. I'm working with probably about a dozen different speakers and authors in various different stages of their career. And so with each client, we do different things. Which really makes it interesting. It's not, the boring same thing every day, day in, day out. I'm enjoying this second or third chapter, as the case may be, of my life in just really mentoring with speakers and authors and helping them build their business.
I'm going to get back to that in a sec. Let's rewind a little bit. Give kind of the how we got here story. I want to hear, what was your career before you kind of opened up shop and hung out the shingle, if you would, and focused on this?
Well, I've been kind of an entrepreneur my whole life, but for the past 15 years prior to opening my company 2 years ago, I had worked for a thought leader. I was her kind of Girl Friday. I did absolutely everything for her, from logistics through, booking and social media and everything along that line. But she was 75 and decided to sell her company. And so I found myself unemployed, laid off at 60. And here in Los Angeles, everything is about being young and gorgeous. And, I didn't fit that mold. So I realized if I wanted to continue to work, which I truly needed to continue to work, I needed to start my own company. So I did. And, we're killing it now.
So let's talk about this. Thrive Loud listeners, I'm going to give the reason why I wanted Lorianne on the show. As the listeners of this program know, we have a lot of authors, a lot of thought leaders as kind of a really chunky part of who thrives loud each and every day and comes on the program. And they're doing so many different things, and there's so many different avenues on how they market and brand their self, their businesses, their books. Lorianne, help us understand. Let's pull back the curtain and see what the wizard's up to. Can you share a little bit of what is entailed in helping really to build a brand? Because that is the essence. It's not just a book or a speaking gig. There is a brand associated with these leaders you're working with. Can you share a little bit about the ins and outs of your expertise?
Sure. Well, I'm actually the detail person. I'm the one that works with whomever they have decided is their, marketing guru kind of person. And we work together to make sure that all the pieces are in alignment and that we can take a thought leader's idea and or plan and put together all the steps to make it happen.
Okay.
I've always said I'm the detail queen because I don't let things fall through cracks. And that's exactly what I offer my clients, is just the fact that they can go out and do their speaking and I'll make sure everything else is done right.
So let's talk about what you're seeing today and what people are speaking about, because I think it's kind of cool. You and I had a brief conversation just on the lay of the land on what speakers and authors need to do to kind of make sure the world knows about them. Can you talk about a little behind the scenes of some of the stuff that you do behind? Because this is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. As much as my old self hates the fact that social media is the place to be, it is the place to be. Business is being conducted in social media. And so what I tell all my clients is that you need to be on all the platforms. However, if you are a corporate leadership type person, you want to focus on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're a physical, coach, fitness coach, kind of thing like that, more Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. And I think most people don't realize that Pinterest is the second largest search engine in the world at the moment.
I've heard this, by the way. We have almost zero presence on this show on Pinterest, which is kind of fun. I've been told this about Pinterest actually has a lot of the blogs and the stories, like related topics, correct?
It has everything. And it's a matter of, you never know where anyone is at any given time. And which is why I say you need to be on all of them. Lou, I'll introduce you to my Pinterest gal after the show. She's amazing. I tell my clients to focus on what they do best, and let others take on the minutia that they don't want to deal with or can't. I mean, even I follow my own advice. And as I said, I'll introduce you to my Pinterest gal, because I'm not a graphics person. I'm that content person. So I work in taking, say, one of my clients is just an amazing writer and has articles probably twice a week in various different magazines. But she doesn't have the time to create the tweets to drive people to go read them. I do that.
Yeah.
So it really is a matter of consistently being on all the different platforms.
Let's talk about hot topics and hot buttons and hashtags at this point, because I think it's actually important, because as you look at what speakers speak about, I joke about this all the time. If you go back to the 80s and 90s, just about, I think if you did a search on a leadership book, you would have trouble finding it. Yet, if you look today, the word and the number of books would just explode. And that's true as it relates to the speaker universe that's out there, those that are speaking at conferences everywhere. They've got I'm a leadership speaker, I'm a leadership keynote, I'm a leadership this. Right. So it's hot words. Talk about some of the hot words that you're seeing out there, because these words constantly change.
Oh gosh, don't they though? And I get such a kick out of some of them. Like right now, when people are talking about their ideal clients and they call them avatars now, which is a gaming term. And needless to say, at almost 62, it's not, I call it an ideal client. But in the leadership space, EQ, agility, you want to, employee engagement, career development, all that is really, really important. And very honestly, my top clients are all in that leadership space. And so I learn it's about communication now. It's not about the once a year IDP, which if you're in leadership, that's the individual development plan that, once a year you sit down with your employees. And what we're really trying to move the needle on is the fact that you want to have continuing conversations, because in this day and age, if you ask somebody what they want to be doing in 3 to 5 years, it's just so silly, because in 3 years it could be a completely different landscape.
In 3 years, it could be 3 careers, as many people will joke.
Yes, especially with the younger generation. It's they say that now that the millennials and will have at least 14 jobs in their lifetime, and I'm like, wow, I've had 5.
Right. I want to go dive in more with what your speakers are speaking about and how you're marketing them differently. Thrive Lab listeners know we have lots of those speakers here, and much of the material you might read about a speaker when they come on the show was potentially prepared by somebody like Lorianne. And a lot of that content is out there, really well written, really to the point, and we use a lot of that in our social media posts and on the descriptions of our guests. You have a lot of guests that speak about leadership, so you have to distinguish them.
Yes.
What do you do to help distinguish that person's brand? What's your little niche and skill, if you could peel back the banana peel here and show us what the fruit is inside?
Well, sure. I mean, obviously, if they have a book, you want to really focus on that book. Most of my leadership people, from their books, they have workshops that they sell to Fortune 1000 companies. So they've got their brand set up through their books. But you just want to continue to keep that brand in the forefront within social media. You want to take that information that is specific to them. I mean, I have one that is focuses on courageous leadership. I have another that is women in leadership. I've got another that is all about the conversations that employees want and organizations need to have so that they keep their people happy. Mm-hmm. The engagement scores now in corporate America is pretty pathetic. And, companies are really seeing that they need to move the needle. So it's really about focusing on what their key message is and driving that home.
I want to understand how you choose who you work with. Tell me how you line up your roster of your folks so that our listeners can understand how you pick your clients.
Yeah. Well, I obviously, my ideal client is an established speaker, author, or podcaster who knows what their goals are and yet needs help to reach them. I, as sort of pro bono kind of work, do work with the younger ones to kind of help them determine what their message is as well. But if I had my druthers, I would love to just have, established speakers that need some help with their logistics and things along that line. I find I'm doing a lot of work finding stages for some of the younger ones. And I don't mean younger. I mean, they could be older, but, newer in the field, should I say. And that's a matter of really, it's a lot of time. And most people don't have it. If you're spending, 40% of your time doing administrative or research work, you're wasting your time. You can hire in a VA to do that research for you while you are either speaking or writing your next book or the things that are high ticket priorities, and hire someone that probably can do the research a lot faster than you to do that for you. So it is just a matter of researching their message and finding the best places for them to speak.
Lorianne, this is going to be a weird question, but is there a speaker, author, thought leader that's out there who you do not work with now that you'd be like, man, I would love the opportunity to work with that type of client because of what they do and what their brand represents? And you could drop the names if you would. And this isn't going to hurt any of your existing customers. Trust me. This is more along the lines of, and what is it about that connects with you?
Oh, gosh. I guess if you want to talk about like top of the chain kind of person, Arianna Huffington would be that person I would love to work with. The realities are she's got a whole team of people, but I love her message. I love her drive. And, it's all about, and when I talk to my clients, if they have an icon in their field that they want to become, start following them on social media, and making intelligent comments will bring your presence known to them. Many of them, I don't know that Ariana does her own, tweeting and whatnot.
I'm sure she doesn't.
Doubt it. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was being a little flip, but it's like, I know someone else is doing that, but if there's someone you want to get the attention of, start following them and make intelligent conversation through social media. It can't hurt, that's for sure. But it's also that you're now being seen by the hundreds of thousands of followers that they have.
Yeah, it's good. It's great brand awareness, and if you're sharp with it and you make a good point, it actually could be a difference maker.
Exactly.
Let's talk about the mediums themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my own opinions on each one of them, and interestingly, if you were to have told me the ones where we are most effective for my own brand or for this show, I would have never believed it. But I wanted to get your take on, let's just run through them. LinkedIn.
Well, for the leadership people, LinkedIn is the place to be. Many of your C-suite type people are in there, as well as whether it's HR related. Much of the business can stem from your human resources department, and they're out there looking. I think for the leadership people, like I said, LinkedIn is a great place to be. It is also a great place to put your content out into, especially if you're working with businesses. If you're more person-to-person basis, I wouldn't really say that LinkedIn is your main focus, but as I say, you need to be on all of them, actually.
So I just want to get your take on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. I remember when Twitter first came out, and it was really just like movie stars and stuff like that telling you they were having lunch at the Palms. Like, who cares? Now it is a lot more business oriented, in that you're trying to get your content, your information out there in a small way to have them go and click on the link, right?
Yep.
It's just another driving force. And I spend a lot of my day on Twitter. Don't look at my account, people. I am the cobbler with no shoes. I'm too busy doing everybody else's to, I think I have a whopping like 117, followers. So it's like, but the beauty is my clients, if it's something that's important and I want them to put it out, they'll go ahead and retweet it for me, which is really lovely. And then it hits thousands and thousands and thousands, which is great.
Lorianne, now I'm going to jump into two interesting ones. One is Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is YouTube, from two different perspectives. I wanted to get your take on where they're at now and the perception around those two platforms.
Okay. With Facebook, I don't know, the rules keep changing, which drives me crazy. Facebook is more social than any of the other ones, in my opinion. It's much more social. It's about developing a relationship. So that is important. I would say spend your time in focused groups within Facebook so that you get to be known by the people that are your ideal client. I spend a lot of my time in speaker author type Facebook groups because of the fact that I can help them and I would like them to know who I am.
Right.
But it is much more relationship driven, in my opinion. And YouTube, we have become such a visual video environment that you really can't get a speaking gig unless you have a highlight reel or at least some video of you speaking. So having a YouTube page is important. Believe it or not, I even have one. It's like, and I hate seeing myself in video. I've always felt like I've got the face for a radio. And so I love podcasting. And again, you have to have it. We're so video oriented. If you're going and putting your information out and you want to speak at a conference, I assure you the committee that is looking at picking who's going to speak is going to go to your YouTube page or your highlight reel or whatever you've, given them. And in all honesty, if you send them the highlight reel, they will still probably go to your YouTube page to see everything else if they're interested.
It's very true. And we actually mimic the actual episodes of Thrive Loud on our YouTube channel. So people can actually watch or listen, even though many of these are audio. We'll have the image of the guest of the show that's up there because the platform has that much of a draw. Just kind of interesting, though, where it went to. But thank you for sharing all that. This was really cool. Okay, now I want to learn a little bit more about you, Lorianne.
Okay.
I love asking guests on this show this question, and I'm curious to know when you are having an off day and things aren't kicking on all cylinders. I know at the time we're writing this, fires are flying through the state of California somewhere. Yeah. Fortunately, not near her. Hopefully everyone's okay. Yeah. But when you're not thriving on all cylinders, what practice do you seek or what individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
I actually am a big believer in work-life balance. And there are days, obviously, that, the head is down and you're working on a major project. And all of a sudden I'll look up and it's 2:00 and I haven't had anything to eat. And I think, oh, that's why I'm getting a headache. So there are days, there's no such thing as perfect work-life balance. But in those kind of situations, I actually stop, go down and, watch something that I've, taped on television or whatever and just, space out for a bit. I'm a television child. I was raised in the television era where it was a big deal. And so I tend to just like to zone out on watching a show. And that literally just sort of gets me to relax, and then I can go back to work.
I like it. Let's do this. Let's do the admin part so people know where to find you. Lorianne, share with everyone where they can find you, websites. You've got it all, and you know exactly how to market it. So I'm going to let you do that part of the show, but it always comes better when they hear from you, even though we'll have it in the show notes.
Sure. Just go to my website. It's www.lvs, my initials, L as V as in Victor and S as in Sam, consultingservices.com. And you'll actually find on the homepage, and Lou's probably going to be rolling his eyes, not that I can see them, but on the homepage is a white paper you can download called The Top 10 Ways to Create Massive Growth in Your Speaking Business. And you do not have to give me your email. It is not a click funnel. You can download it and I'll never even know. But if you like what you read and you need help making sure all those things are done, then you can reach out. No click funnels on this girl, although I'm getting a lot of pressure from people. Because really right now, about 90% of my clients come from referrals from other speakers and authors. So I'm happy to give that away. And if you see that there's value there, give me a holler.
Awesome. Let's continue on the fun track here because we've been having fun the whole time here with Lorianne. So Lorianne, I'm going to give the signature question and then I want to drive down a different path. Can you share with the listeners your all-time favorite movie?
Yeah, don't laugh. It's called Damn Yankees. It's a musical from, I'd say, the 40s. And back in the day when I was younger, they had the $1 Million Movie, which ran like 2 times a day for the whole week. And our family, we're a little weird. We just loved that movie. And we got to the point where we could actually do all the parts, all the songs, everything. And to this day, my daughter a couple years ago found an actual, DVD of it, whatever, a disc of it, whatever. I'm such a technical person.
Were you able to find something to play it on is the bigger question, right?
Well, I had the in a VHS format, which obviously can't be done anymore. And so she found it in disc for me. So yes, it's just a fun movie. It's got a moral message as well as just, really fun stuff. And I'm a big sports fanatic as well. So that's my favorite.
Which now I'll bring down that avenue. What are your teams of choice? Because are you a Yankees fan or probably not if it's a damn Yankees movie? I was about to say.
No, I'm a very sad LA Dodger fan this week. I just can't believe it. It was just so hard to watch. Dodgers. I actually happen to be a Seattle Seahawks fan, although I am getting back into rooting for the Rams. They broke my heart 30 years ago when they left. And so it took a while for me to get back into being a Rams fan. But Pete Carroll, USC Trojans, that's my team. And Lakers. I'm a big Lakers fan. And that's been hard over the last few years too.
So I'll say this as someone that grew up in the New York area myself. I am not solely New York fan based. Obviously, I am a Mets, Rangers, and God forbid a Knicks fan, which is hard to be after the last.
I feel your pain.
However, my entire life I've been a Chargers fan, and
Really?
which is weird because now they're in Los Angeles. It's tough for me not to say San Diego. I still root for them. But I thought about this between the Rams, the Chargers, all the basketball teams in Los Angeles, the hockey team, and the baseball team. What's going on over in LA? You guys are starting to take it all over.
Yeah. Well, it's about time. We went like 30 years without a football team, which is insane. It's one of the, besides New York, LA is the biggest market. And it was just crazy that we did not have a football team. I was raised from in utero to be a USC fan, and we always teased that, the Trojans were our pro team in LA. And although that's been a tough one over the last few years since Pete left too. So I'm a big follower of individuals. Like I loved Brett Favre. So I was a Vikings fan and a Green Bay. Green Bay fan. Well, he went over to, he went over there late in life. But I'm still a Packers fan because I just love the fact it's the only team that is owned by the city and the people as opposed to a billionaire.
That is true.
I just love that whole vibe.
It is. And I've actually been to Lambeau and everyone goes, oh, it's awesome. No, it's freezing.
Well, and you're talking to a fourth generation Los Angelino. So I have no blood. I'm cold at 70, so.
Well, to take us out of here, I know you have a lot of speakers that you work with, and a lot of them may even have songs that they use when they go on stage. So I'm actually curious. You and I just came from a conference where we got someone that got you a chance to pick a song and a jam that's yours when you get to go to the stage. So, Lorianne, for our Thrive Loud listeners, what is the jam that you love to hear?
I love This Is Me from the World's Greatest Showman.
Yeah. The World's Greatest Showman. Right. The World's Greatest Showman. Yes.
The World's Greatest Showman. It just speaks to me. It kind of even makes me cry because you met me. I'm a big gal. And so it was just so neat to see this woman sing this song. I recommend it. It's just, and it can be for anybody. This is me, and embrace yourself and love yourself and know your own self-worth. The
amazing, talented, professional, and gorgeous, even though she doesn't say that she is, Lorianne Speaks. Thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud today. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, it really was, Lou. Thank you so much.
And to all our Thrive Loud listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.